My name is James. I run procurementexpress.com. It's a SaaS app that helps me have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with my kids. It's not as good as it sounds. Max only eats brown food. Though he wants to put tomato ketchup on everything, it's a disaster. And I can't get the little star on top of the Krabby Patties right, so Max also got nuts about that. So probably more from your perspective, we are a B2B app. We sell to finance teams. We help them manage their purchasing. And we sell to like 10 to 200 employees, that sort of size. And what I'm going to talk about is churn and how to reduce it. But let's face it, probably we don't pay as much attention to churn as we might like. So even though we all know that churn is important, so just by show of hands, if you have a hand, put it up. Very, very good, thank you, yeah. Keep it up if you're happy with your churn. Right, okay. And keep it up if you don't have a plan. Sorry, I got that wrong. Keep your hand up if you're not happy with your churn, and then keep it up if you know how to fix it. Okay, there's actually only a few of you. We should just go outside maybe and talk about this. But we should all be happy about it, so I want to give you a few more enthusiastic about it. So let's do the math on the situation. Every time I hear the word math now, I hear this guy, Andrew Yang, American politician. He wants to try and make America think harder. He's an interesting guy, but of course we're in Europe, so let's do the math instead. And let's do the math on why churn really matters. So what I'm going to show you helped us reduce our churn from 3.2 to 2.5% over a course of a year. And you might say, well, it's hard to get excited about, so let's just figure out what that means internally for you in terms of what actual revenue number that might make difference in your business. Let's make the math easy. Let's say if you had a churn of 4%, 25% reduction, that's 1%, times by 12, 12 months in a year, that would give you 12% more MRR. So that's quite a nice figure, and it's worth paying attention to. And yet, let's face it, we spend lots of time on sales, lots of time programming, marketing, but what do we actually have to do? What tools do we have to actually improve our churn? Kind of frustrating. There's not a lot out there, Like, mostly, it comes down to success. And when I think of success, definitely the way we used to do it, I think of Hello Kitty here. By the way, I break all sorts of copyright and GDPR rules in this presentation, so bear with me. But success is generally the way you reduce churn. And when you think of success, you think be responsive, be friendly, have lots of documentation, be there when you need it. But really just, it's not that empowering. If your customer is metaphorically stuck up a tree trying to use your software, the last thing they want to see is a cat. What they want is maybe a fireman to get them out of the tree, and you might want to hire Hank. If you haven't seen Breaking Bad, these jokes aren't going to work either. It's not Hank, it's actually Vince. Vince is a South African guy who works with me. He heads up our support, and we sat down and figured out how can we get out of this sort of reactive, how can we actually do something about improving churn? Let's not just wait for the problems to get fixed, let's come up with a plan. And he said, James, I used to work in a 5-star hotel, and you know the difference between a 5-star hotel and a 4-star hotel? The difference is in a 5-star hotel, they anticipate your needs before you have them. I said, that's interesting. I like that. How can we do that? How can we come up with something where we can actually be more proactive, not just try and fix the bugs or whatever? How can we actually help our customers? Because we spend all this effort getting them up to the sign-up phase, especially in SaaS, you've got to expand them. So most of the revenue for our customers comes through expansion revenue, not actually new revenue. So let's do something about this. So what I'm going to show you the process that we rolled out sort of beginning of this year, more or less the beginning of this year. We've done this about 60 times, 60 different times, and it's simple enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out who are our best customers, not just the customers that our success team are interacting with most, which sometimes are our best and sometimes not. We're going to make up some sort of excuse to interact with them more other than the software not breaking. And then we're going to find out how to deliver value for them and then set goals around how they can use our product more and be more successful. So this is, so first step, how do you figure out who your best customers are? Well, there's a couple of ways. Lots of people are using NPS scores to figure out, who is happy and who is not. There's the OG Sean Ellis customer survey, which basically asks your customers, how disappointed would you be if you could no longer use our software, which is the survey I like using. And that'll give you a subset of your customers, somewhere hopefully between 40 and 50%, that actually would be really disappointed if they couldn't use your software anymore. Those guys are the guys who I want to put effort into, not necessarily people who we're doing a poor job for. You want to look after them, of course, but what I want to do is I want to work with people who really love our software and try and expand that usage more. So the tool we came up with, or the excuse, is what, hopefully enough, Dan Martell just released a video on, sort of quarterly business review or executive business review. And bigger software companies often use this to reach out to customers and to engage with them before they're having a problem. So what we'll do is I will send out emails. I've got my list of my 60 or so favorite customers who like us the best. I will send out an email to them every month or so to a selection of them and say, hey, I'm the CEO of Procurement Express. I notice you're using the software a lot, but I want to be able to jump on a call because I think there's a couple of ways I could help you get even more value. That email gets a great response rate. We set up the call, and then it's me and Vince, sometimes a product person, sometimes someone from sales, and we all get on that call, malhanded. We talk to the customers, and we do something like this. So I'm going to show you the actual template that we use for what we call our QBRs, or business reviews, quarterly business reviews. And it starts off something like this. So we customize it, obviously, we put their customer name in there. We explain to them that actually the aim of this presentation is to drive more value for them in how they're using the product. And we tell them, I'm going to show you exactly how other customers similar to you are using the product to drive success. And then at the end of it, I always say, I'm going to have a present for you for giving up your time anyway, right? So that's a nice one to look forward to. Always like to cover off. There's always a couple of things. Sometimes people get onto these calls because actually there's something being bugging them that they didn't really want to raise a ticket on or whatever, but it's something else. So I always leave that open. Ask them, is there anything else you want to cover at the end of this call? Note that down. Say, oh, don't worry, I'm going to get to that. Sometimes you get into a little bit of customer support there. And then we get into the actual review. So the point is, you got to provide value in what you're doing here. So how we do this, or how I do it, is we do an audit of their usage. This is similar to an audit that we would do for them. So I would go through, before the call, I'll have prepared it, put in things like, how long they've been a customer, how active they are in the product. I like to put in names of people who are actually using the product more or less, so, because then they get to see, and then they start to see, this guy's putting some effort into this presentation. I like it. So it opens them up a little bit and start to listen more to what you're doing, or you're talking about. And then down the bottom, it gets a little bit more interesting. Say, oh, I see you've got lots of budgets in there. You're spending lots of money. That's really good, through our platform in particular. And then I get to the NPS line. And in this example here, 7 is actually a pretty poor NPS. And not all of our customers have a great NPS. We use satismeter.com to quarterly review the happiness of our customers. That gives me a number, customer by customer, how happy they are. In this instance, when there's a low number like a 7, what I'll say is, you know what, that's part of the reason we're on this call, is I notice that this 7 is lower than I would like it to be. And that tells me that you might be happy with the product, but maybe there's someone else in your organization that's not happy with it. You know what that could be? In our case, sometimes it's the guys in the stores who don't like using the mobile app, or it's someone who doesn't like having to account for their expense when they're spending company money, whatever it is. Point is, it opens up a genuine conversation. And you start to get some action points together on how you could actually improve that. So you might say, hey, do you have any idea why your NPS might be lower than the average? Sometimes they'll give you a reason. You say, okay, well, you think we could set up some training, or could I record a video for that person to try and get them on board or get more usage from it? Whatever it is. Point is, be genuinely useful, or attempt to be genuinely useful. So Then gives you, moves on to the product usage. So you can see each customer, we measure how many of the features they're using. This customer is about 67%. And I'll go down through and say, hey, you're using us for this and this and this. But I notice, hey, you're not using us for expense management. You think you could do that? Ooh, yeah, actually, I didn't know you guys did expense management. Maybe I could do that as well. Great. Do you think we could set a goal maybe for 6 months' time if you start using us for expense management? You're already paying for the software. Why don't you use it more? Sometimes they need to pay us more to do that. Sometimes they add more users or whatever. Sometimes not. Doesn't really matter. Point is to deliver value. So once we set those milestones, we agree a follow-up date. And then, one of my favorite parts of the QBR, I'll come in with the product stuff. I'll explain what's coming in the product, what they think about it. Sometimes I'll show them screenshots, ask their opinion on where we're going, which direction we're going. Very good for sort of product development stuff. And then the magic question, how could we win more business from you? How could we actually be more useful for you? How could you pay us more? And they'll normally have a few ideas, because we've been talking about a few of those ideas up until now. That is where you'll start creating deals in your CRM. They may come up with ideas, you know what, actually we have a sister company or I have someone else. And if they have someone that you can refer over to, I'll show you this, even though it doesn't work. So this is from Cater. Mike Ateas from Cater's end uses a promotion like this. Say, listen, say thank you for being on this call. Do you know we have a $500 referral fee for referring a new customer? You get a chance to win a Caribbean cruise. And that's a sort of a thank you offer for that. Mike this works really well for Mike. Actually, it doesn't work for us at all. So instead, what we're starting to do now is just offer them a mug or a t-shirt or a baby girl or whatever from our store. So in summary, that's how we reduced our churn by 25%. I hope you found it useful. See you all later.